Hello and welcome to Falling Walls Lab Karlsruhe. It's really such a pleasure for me to be here and of course to see real people. I mean, that's so weird. I was just talking to the labsters. Some of them are sitting behind our stage and it's so, I mean, you are not used to meet people in real life again and you're used to Zoom conferences, but it's really nice to have you here physical, present, and yeah, for me it was quite different to be here and not in a Zoom meeting. I mean, I had to dress up and not wearing my sweatpants and something nice up there, so it's different, but on the other hand, it's really exciting and really beautiful to be here and to see you all. So thank you all for coming. A big welcome, first of all, of course, to our labsters. They are around all over the place. Some are there, some are behind the stage. So thank you for coming. I mean, you are the brave ones that will be on this stage later on. I'm excited to hear your ideas. So welcome to you. A big applause. A big welcome also to all of your supporters. I mean, honestly, there's nothing better than having someone who thinks it's really cool what you are doing, and so a big welcome to all the supporters as well. Falling Walls Lab would not work without having a jury. And we are very happy to have a really highly qualified jury. They're sitting up there. And I would like to introduce you to, first of all, the chairman of our jury. He's sitting in the middle. Professor Thomas Hirth. He is Vice President for Innovation and International Affairs at Karlsruher Institute of Technology. Welcome. Then, next to him on the left side, we have Professor Sabine Heiland. She is head of section of experimental radiology at Heidelberg University. Welcome. On the right side, next to Professor Hirth, we have Professor Franziska Böhm. She is Vice President Intellectual Property Rights at Leibniz Institute for Information, Karlsruhe. Then on the left side, we have Dr. Christian Holze. He's Senior Research Engineer, Formulation Technology and Academic Partnership Developer, very long title, at BASF in Ludwigshafen. Welcome. And last but not least, we are happy to welcome Beatrice Lugger. She is Director at the National Institute for Science Communication in Karlsruhe. Welcome. Yeah, dear Duchess, we are really happy to have you here, and we are really excited to hear what you think about our labsters' ideas. And we are happy to learn from your experience, from your knowledge, and the comments you share with us. Further, I would like to welcome all representatives of Karlsruher Institute of Technology, the City of Karlsruhe, Heidelberg University, HEIKA, the Heidelberg-Karlsruhe Strategic Partnership, and basically every single person here on Kronenplatz. Welcome. Yeah, we have come together this evening to experience a Falling Walls Lab. I would be curious to know who of you has ever joined a Falling Walls Lab. Could you just give me a sign? Okay, the jury is experienced. Yeah, not that much. Okay, so I should probably explain what we are going to do here. So the Falling Walls Lab is a format that is dedicated to the next generation of innovators, of scientists, of creators, and of visionaries. It is about ideas that break walls in science and society. Falling Walls Lab take place all over the world. For example, besides Karlsruhe in Germany, in 2021 in Rwanda, in Ukraine, in Thailand, in Colombia, in Chile, and many other countries. Falling Walls Lab gives you, dear labsters, the opportunity to present your research, your business model, or your initiative to peers and to a highly qualified jury, with experts coming from academia, from public, or from business. And it gives you the opportunity to receive feedback on your ideas as well. So what are we going to do this evening? What's our plan? If you have a look on the booklet, I just need to figure out whether, did you all get something like this? Yes? Okay, otherwise we will get some more. So when you have a look into this booklet, then you'll find on the left side the timeline. Sorry. So this is our program for today. So we are basically in the middle of the introductory remarks. Then we will start with 7 presentations from our labsters. And what is very special here, so the concept of Falling Walls is pretty straightforward. So we have 30 labsters today that come from really different disciplines, from medicine, from astronomy, from very different physics, and so on. And what is special is they have 3 minutes for their presentation and no more seconds. So 3 minutes, and are only used to allowed 3 slides. So there's 1 introductory slide and 2 content slides. When they are done with their presentation, when the 3 minutes are over, and we will have a countdown, we will see it somewhere, I don't know, maybe probably there, I will figure it out. And when the time is over, so when the 3 minutes are gone, there are 2 more minutes for questions. And we will start with our jury. They are allowed to ask questions, and if there is some time left, I mean 2 minutes is pretty short, but we will see if there is some time left. You find within your booklet this sheet, and you have a question mark here, and on the other side you have this one. So if you want to ask a question, within the 2 minutes, just raise the question mark. And if you want to add a comment or make a statement, something like that, please raise, guess what, the exclamation mark. So to sum it up, 3 minutes presentation, 2 minutes for questions. And yeah, I honestly have to say, so after the 2 minutes, after the 3 minutes, it's really the end. So no more seconds. I mean, not the end, like not literally, but we are very strict here. So we will have an eye on the time. Yeah, our jury will attentively listen to all the presentations and at the very end select 3 winners. The first place winner is invited and automatically admitted to join the Falling Walls Lab finals in Berlin in November 2021. So our jury here decides who will be the 3rd place, the 2nd place, and the 1st place winner. And you, dear audience, you are also a kind of jury today, because you have the opportunity to vote for your winner of the audience award. So, and what is important here, you also have this paper. It says Ballot Paper Audience Award. This becomes very important when we have our break, but I will tell you. But then you are asked to vote for your favorite presenter. And at the very end, we will have an audience award winner here as well. So there was a lot of theory during the break, which we will have later on. The jury will decide which winners they prefer, and you are invited to vote for your winners as well. And this box becomes very important then, because but I will remind you, but during the break, you should put your paper in there. So, to sum it up, we talked about the format, we talked about the timeline, and about the rules. That should be enough for the moment. I would suggest to start with the first presentation. Please welcome, with a big applause, our first labster here on stage. It's Greta Luise Hoffmann from Karlsruher Institute of Technology, and the title of her presentation is Breaking the Wall of 1,000 Taps. Hey, good luck.
Hello, Kronenplatz. My name is Greta, and yes, I'm going to break the wall of 1,000 taps, and I hope I can already see some people in the audience that feel a personal connection to this topic. So, in this world, there are 2 types of people. Those people, when it comes to browsing, those people who actually close their browser and do not save their browser sessions and just start with a clean slate, and those people who would literally die if their browser session wasn't restored, and that save between 20 and 500 tabs, if it's possible, depending on the browser. So we find some indications in research on why this dichotomy might exist. And one of those indications occurs with visual spatial memorizations. This type of browsing behavior particularly occurs with people who store information visually, like using visual indicators, colors, shapes, and spatial memory. And unfortunately, these browsers, all of them, oh, I'm sorry, this was the second type of person. I'm not seeing the screen right now. This type of people have a big problem because browsers are not meant for them. And if I say them, I mean us, because I'm this type of person. We have to try to memorize where our tab was. Was it more on the left side? Was it more on the right side? We use the browser as an external memory, but the browser does not work the way our brains work. Now imagine the following. Imagine that you are inside of a room at the end of a session. Let's put in some furniture. And now imagine that every single browser tab that you close appears as an item in this room and can be retrieved as this item, so you know exactly where the tab you were looking for is at the end of your session. So how would your own mental space look like? Imagine that you can now choose from a huge collection of items and stickers to actually redesign your own mental images. And it can look like this, it can look gothic, it can look colorful. Every one of us has a different kind of mental space. And with Heya, we want to provide room for your memory. And that was what I wanted to present to you, and now I'm curious about your questions. Thank you very much.
I wasn't prepared for that. You were so quick.
Yeah,
so,
me neither. Sorry.
No, that's perfect. So, dear jury, you are invited to ask questions. Please go ahead. Who wants first? Yes.
So are these rooms that you presented predefined, or can I design my own one?
You can design your own room. The idea is that you can choose, like where you normally have the favorite star, the bookmark star, you basically can choose from a drop-down menu where either the website, hopefully in the future when Heya is super famous and ubiquitous, the websites will present their own stickers that they're suggesting to you, you know, nice posters, nice mattresses for a mattress company, or you can go to choose from my own collection, and you can choose from sticker collections that designers can provide to you. So you can use stickers from the Mondrian designer and have a very exclusive room, or yeah, you can use the predefined stickers. Are there more questions?
Yes.
Can I use this for other tasks of finding stuff that I've misplaced on my computer?
That's a good question.
It's a perfect question, and I would like to steal this idea from you and redefine Heya not only for the browser, but actually for the computer explorer. Thank you very much.
Yes?
Another question. If I want to forget my browser history, and maybe after 2 years I don't like to be remembered what I was searching for a couple of years ago, is there a kind of automatic deletion button, or how do you implement that?
Well, it isn't yet, because right now it's just a small prototype, but thanks to your hint, I'm sure that this is something that we should also do. No, the thing is, the history deletion belongs to the browser. What Heya is its own website that is just a link collection. You could make your own Heya with PowerPoint right now, because in fact you can already save links onto pictures. It's just that nobody is offering it as a comfortable server. And I think, turning your question around, I think one of the most important features for Heya will be that we will actually offer a saving function.
Time is over. Thank you so much, Greta. That was
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, as I told you, we are really, really strict here. So, our second labster is, and I think she's ready, please welcome with very big applause, Dr. Georgia Chalvatzaki from Technical University Darmstadt. And her topic is breaking the wall of our robotic laboratories. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Georgia Chalvatzaki and I am the research group leader of the Intelligent Robotic Systems for Assistance Lab at the Technical University of Darmstadt in Germany. My research vision is to create intelligent robotic assistants. Such intelligent behavior requires embodied AI agents like mobile manipulator robots that are able to act in real environments, like for example nursing homes, hospitals, and our houses. While robotics and AI have made significant progresses over the last decade, and we have seen robotic manipulators in manufacturing doing pre-programmed repetitive tasks all over again, such a behavior cannot be transferred in our real environments because of the uncertainty of the ever-changing environments where humans live. My work will break the walls of the restricted laboratories around our robots so that we can bring future robotic assistants into our human-inhabited environments. I take a different perspective into the research of robotics and AI by proposing the effective combination of classical robotic methods that require planning and physics-based models together with learning-based methods like deep learning and reinforcement learning that require interaction with new environments and also gathering of data. I believe that it is only with this combination that we will be able to create robust and generalizable algorithms so that our robots can migrate from the restricted lab settings and enter in human inhabited environments. In particular, my research focus is about developing robust mobile manipulation skills so that our robot will be able to handle the uncertainty and the high dimensionality of the real-world problems. I also focus on the execution of long horizon tasks like a fetch, carry, handover task that requires the combination of abstract symbolic planning together with learning. But also, I study trustful human-robot interactions so that we can learn safe guarantees in human-robot interactions so that our robot will safely interact with humans and their changing intentions in challenging tasks like an object handover. My work will break the walls of traditional robotics research and create future robotic assistants that will help the elderly, nurses in hospitals, and us in our everyday life, especially after the events of the pandemic, where the nursing and caring staff have to give an immense battle. People had to stay alone in quarantine, and this means that the need for personal robotics is more important than ever. I hope that in the future, robotic assistants will be there for us, serving our daily needs. Thank you for your attention. I'm open to your questions.
I'm impressed by your timing. So let's directly go on with the questions. Dear jury, do you have any questions? Professor Heiland.
When it comes to learning, I mean, one thing is the processing of information, but the other thing is to get the information by what we call senses in the normal human being, like
Yes.
seeing, hearing, smelling, and so. How would you visualize, or what is your thought about that?
Yes, in particular, exactly one key aspect for understanding the world and quantifying the uncertainty is the representation that we are going to use. And what we are trying to use with these embodied AI agents that I said in the beginning, embodiment is the actual embodied sensoring on the robot. So use of lasers, use of vision, use of also speech recognition, and all the different ways of interacting so that we can create some multimodal representation for these kind of interactions.
Any other question? Yes. Ms. Lugger.
So the robot knows me very well then. When I'm a messy person, the robot knows that I'm always leaving the socks behind the bed or something like that. How can you make sure that these data are safe with the robot?
So we try to create representations that are mostly graph-based. So we try to create a structure of the world through, of course, vision and mainly point cloud. So we don't store the exact data, but we rather try to create a low-level representation and basically using graphs that allow us to create some kind of structure in the way the world is represented for the robot. And of course, this is a matter of ethics in AI, which is we take into account and to concern when we develop our algorithms that we want, in order also for this to be generalizable to your house, but also to my house and your house. This representation should be person independent, let's say.
Time is over. That was perfect. Thank you very much. Big applause.
Thank you.
You can just leave it. Oh, yeah, you take it for the disinfection. Yeah, it was so funny because I just talked to Georgia before going up the stage, and she said, oh, she's so nervous because she hadn't real meetings with real people for years or for 1.5 years, but she did really, really well. So we are coming to Labster number 3, and he's coming from Heidelberg University. His name is Professor Skylar Degenkolb, and he will talk about breaking the wall of why we exist. Good luck.
So I'd like to ask you a very basic question. Where does matter, stuff, come from? We don't know. We don't know. If there were a second half to the universe, a sort of mirror to us, made of antimatter, there'd be no question, but it's not there. We would have noticed. So let's take an example, an apple, a good example of matter, something that exists in our lives. We magnify the solar system to see an apple, but we can do it again. We can look inside the apple, and we can see neutrons in it. A neutron is nothing very exotic. You are more than half neutrons by weight. And we can do it again. We can look inside the neutron for its own internal structure, and this contains clues to tell us how neutrons first appeared in the universe. Now, a neutron is special. It's a bit like a funnel or a lightning rod, because it collects all of the possibilities for how the neutrons could have appeared into one single number. It's a number that we can measure, but to measure it very precisely, we have to take neutrons. We can't go back to the early universe, but we can examine the neutrons that are left over in it today, and we can look at them very closely, but we need many neutrons to do this, and we need to take them out of the apples. We need them to be free. And so the problem, the wall, if you like, it's kind of silly. We can't get enough neutrons, even though they're everywhere. The state of the art works something like this. The neutrons come in beams, and we catch them. But we're very bad at catching neutrons, because we lose about 9 out of 10 when we try. And then we pour them into a bottle to do our measurement. But we're even worse at that, because we lose 99 out of 100. And the solution is very simple. We don't pour. We catch the neutrons directly inside the bottle. We put more bottles behind, and like this, we catch any that might have escaped the first one. This is the only way that we can think of today to go farther into the higher magnification that we need, because we can't yet see clearly enough to answer the question that I asked you at the beginning. Why is there matter in the universe? Why are we here? Why do we exist? This is how we magnify 1,000 times better. Look 1,000 times deeper into the unknown. Until we do that, we don't know what we may see. And now I'm proud that society investigates these deep, inspiring questions. But I know that may not satisfy everyone, and so I'd like to remind you that fundamental research, rigorous science done without an application yet in mind, this is our only way today to prepare for the questions and challenges that the future has not yet revealed to us. We don't yet know what aspects of this new knowledge we may need, but what we can say with absolute certainty is that the more we know, the stronger we will be. That's what I have to say. Please ask questions. Thank you.
I'm impressed by your timing. So let's directly start with the questions. Dear jury, do you have any questions? Okay, yeah, let's go on with you. Can you come to the microphone there?
Yeah, I can also talk really loud. How do we get them
That's
out
good.
of the bottle?
We pour them again, and it doesn't work any better the second time, so we have to count them in the bottles. It's an excellent question.
Any other questions from the jury? Yeah, there we have one. Can we maybe bring a microphone with somebody? Or you can come to this one. This one. We will add 15 seconds for this walk. before we are...
Thank you very much for this very interesting presentation. My question is, there are very famous physicists, like Max Planck, for example. He claimed at the end of his life that there is actually no matter in universe. What do you say to this? Okay, yeah.
No,
That's what his wife said to him. Showed him an apple, but I think his question is very...
I think he's maybe pointing at something different. It's true that even in the apple, most of what is here is not matter. It's empty space, or it's bound energy. And this is true, but we still don't know where it came from.
Okay, great, thank you. So let's go on with Professor Hirth.
Yes. How you count the neutrons, and what's about electrons and protons?
We count the neutrons by destroying them. We capture them on nuclei, they give charged particles, and we look for the electrons and protons, the charged particles that come out. But because the interaction of the neutron is by a completely different mechanism, it has no electric charge, this is exactly why it is such a clean system, and it doesn't have any of the confusing features of most everyday matter. It's why we have to take the neutrons out of the apples in the first place as well.
Okay, and one last question, the 15 seconds, quick one.
As a chemist, in order to observe something, the concentration matters. But in each of the bottles, the concentration is small still.
Yes. 1 neutron per cubic centimeter.
That was a perfect answer, thank you. That was really quick. Big applause, thank you very much. And don't forget your apple, yeah. So let's directly go on with somebody coming from Freiburg University. I would like to welcome on stage Parikshit Kumar, and his topic is breaking the wall of unsustainable battery ecosystems.
Well, hey, I am Parikshit Kumar. I don't have to unmute myself now. So I am here to represent my company, ePositive. So we are a second life battery company. So what we basically do is give another life to batteries. So I'm here to talk about 2 problems with you guys that we usually face. It works. So the first problem is that we have a lot of electric cars that is coming up now. So since you have a lot of cars coming up, so there's definitely more batteries that is produced. So what the car companies do is after a certain battery reaches a life state, these batteries are taken away, and then they are just discarded. So what we do is that we take those batteries and use it for other storage applications and so on. So for example, we have another problem that needs to be addressed here. That is like your day-to-day energy consumption at your home. For example, you have a peak when you're using the electricity, and you don't have a peak when you have no electricity at home. So what your electricity provider does is he just keeps sending electricity. So what happens is that it causes a huge curve there, as you can see, the curve there. That's just the over energy that has been produced, and nobody uses it. So we need to stabilize this curve, just like wearing masks during Corona. We stabilize the curve, right? Just like that. ePositive is here to give you a solution. That solution is just taking those batteries from electric vehicles, putting it in your homes, and storing these electricity coming from the power companies and the batteries, and then later on, trading this electricity that you have already stored back to the source or back to somebody else. So that is our solution to these 2 problems. So how would this work in day-to-day life is that you're an end user. So you have a battery pack that is from us that has been second-lifed. I mean, that is given a second life. So the electricity is stored and then traded later on, and maybe you could even make money out of it. So that's the whole overall concept of ePositive. And yeah, I don't think I need more time. There's 57 seconds. And do I go on or, hey? Okay, I can continue if you want. I'm just finished in 1 minute. And do I continue or?
So
Okay.
we can just ask for questions. So do we have any questions? Yes, Professor Hirth.
What happens after the second life of the battery system?
After the second life. Okay, so for example, your first life ends at 80%. We take that battery and use it as second life. So we use it for, let's say, like another 40, 50% of the battery lifetime, and then we can find another application. Rather than your home, we can put it in a, for example, a traffic signal light over there, or maybe a street light down there, and use it there, and then use it completely to the 0%, and then send it to discarding of the lithium cobalt batteries. So it's like killing the battery completely before just throwing, half dead. So that's the whole concept here. So yeah.
Professor Boom.
Can you apply that to every battery, or is there a limitation? Can you apply that to every battery? Or
for now, our company is just focusing on electric vehicle batteries because they've been produced more. I think we can apply for any kind of battery, but technically if you use your phone battery and your laptop battery, which is very small, and then you can basically power some smaller devices later on, but as a business, as a company, it wouldn't be a viable business for us. So yeah, we have to stick to the big guns. So we went to the car batteries. So yeah.
Okay, I think Professor Highland was first.
We have time.
So what about compatibility? You have thousands of types of battery with different voltage and so on. How do you deal with that?
So for example, we have different cars. Firstly, considering Tesla, we have Volkswagen, everybody's coming up. Tesla makes their own batteries. So we don't take it from them. We go to Volkswagen. Volkswagen's batteries come from a company called Northvolt. So they have a specific, amount of voltage that they maintain their batteries on. As soon as Volkswagen decides, okay, I don't want these cars to be, I don't want this battery anymore, Northvolt takes it from them, and we take it from them again, and then we use it. So that's the whole concept behind it. So compatibility-wise, we can talk to Panasonic, we can talk to Northvolt, we can talk to any other company. So they are all based on one sort of technology.
Unfortunately, time is over, but I had the perception there would be many more questions, but these are the rules. So thank you very much. Big applause.
Right. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Bye.
I'm so impressed how all your brains work with this heat. I mean, that's really good to see. So we will directly move on with our next candidate. He comes from Heidelberg University. His name is David Grüning, and he will talk about breaking the wall of automatic digital consumption. Good luck.
Okay. Hi all, I'm David, and the next minutes will be about your and my automatic digital consumption, okay? So imagine you are at a train station waiting for your train. You're rather bored and you don't really know what to do, so it happens that you click on Twitter and you scroll through it. For 2 minutes, for 5 minutes, maybe even for 15 minutes. And all this time, you're not really thinking about what you're doing. You're just consuming, right? And all this happened by you clicking on an app without any second thought. And there are so many more situations in which we automatically consume without being aware of it. I mean, how many times per day do you do that? What's your take? 5 times? Maybe 10 times? Probably over 20 times per day, right? And while you think about that, never forget that these digital environments are specifically created to be frictionless, so that you as a consumer and I as a consumer are never aware of our consumption. Our idea that is an app is as simple as it is effective. We put a step in between you clicking on an app and you consuming this app. That is, we do exactly what Instagram and co. do not want us to do. We create what is psychologically called mental friction. And here's how it works. Assume you're clicking on Twitter. Now, before the app itself opens, another screen pops up and just asks you one simple question, which you can either answer with yes or with no. Do you want to continue consuming? Now, this simple question, combined with the pop-up, does 2 essential things for you. First, it gives you, as the consumer, the full power of choice to choose when to consume, every time you use an app. And second, if you decide to continue consuming, you can be sure to be more aware of what you consume and how much of it you consume. That is, in summary, this simple app gives people back their freedom to delegate and to choose when to consume and how to consume on their phones. And that is exactly how we intend to break the wall of automatic digital consumption. Or, to rephrase in Goethe's words, a non-distracted existence leads us to all our goals. Thank you.
Okay, let's directly start with the questions. Professor Heiland.
When does that friction that you create become a habit? I mean, we all know when we are wanting to delete something and then that screen pops up, do you really want to delete? And I was very often deleting, just pushing the button yes, because I'm used to it.
Yeah, so this is a really reasonable question. We debated this a lot already. At the moment, we have this basic app, and we have a scientific testing going on, which is also about a timeline of 2 months. So we will see how much of a habit it gets there, and then we have certain ideas to really make it last very, very long so that it gets no habit in like half a year.
Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Lugar.
I'm pretty sure you already did some testing with the system with different people, and what is their feedback? Do they really enjoy it, or do they feel a little bit controlled, or anything else?
So this basic scientific testing that we have going on at the moment is really about objectively reporting the behavior, and then also asking people about how they like the app, and also how it changes their perception of how problematic, for example, their consumption is. But the tests are not done yet, so I can tell you in like 3 or 4 weeks. So.
Any other questions from the audience, maybe? Yes, Professor Böhm.
Yes, so I understood you can see how much time you spend on a specific app, right? And in the end, can you program, let's say, like my own warnings? So I don't want to spend 5 minutes on Twitter per day, so can I program that in the app?
So this is very interesting. That would be a next step. Again, so we are just looking at, this is the basic app so that it shows you your behavior right now. But we are also thinking about giving people more ability to screen their behavior. So this would be one thing.
Perfect.
Thank you.
0 seconds left. Thank you very much. Big applause. Yes, and we will directly go on with number 6. It's Mohammed Alousi from Karlsruher Institute of Technology. And it's so cool with this format that we are switching from one topic. We are talking about digital topics, and now we are going on to micropollutants. And the topic is breaking the wall of micropollutants in water. Good luck.
Hello, everyone. So the behavior of things on a small scale is so fantastic, is so wonderfully different than anything that behaves on a large scale. This is what inspires me to do research, and now I would like to take you inside this mind-simulating world. So here's a glass of water, and inside it we have molecules, beautiful molecules that sustain life. Next to those green creatures, we call them micropollutants. We call them micro because they take place in water at a very low concentration. So for instance, if you take a pill, some of those green creatures might end up in the water cycle. So studies showed that micropollutants have a direct link to human cancer. It also affects wildlife. I'll be more specific here and talk about micropollutants, address them as steroid hormones. So how to overcome this problem? A promising solution is to use this membrane. And this is how it looks like in minor and microscopic details. Now you may wonder how such membrane could target steroid hormones. So if you put this membrane in water and we apply pressure up top, the membrane will allow the beautiful H2O molecules to pass by and will stop the steroid hormones. So definitely afterwards, water from here will be clean and healthy. But some of those green creatures are curious enough to pass through the membrane and permeate. This is what experiment is showing, and I think in science, what makes it interesting is that we always want to investigate things which we don't understand. So why it's curious enough to pass through. What we did here is we studied the energy path of the steroid hormone, so how much energy is needed to stick onto the membrane surface, followed by the energy needed inside the membrane itself. And we found out this hormone should do a lot of work inside the membrane. So in other words, it just sticks spontaneously, similar to this water molecule, and then it passed by. By knowing such finding, we could help material scientists develop membranes able to overcome 100% of such hormones, and we are also one step further towards predicting their behavior. So indeed, science, humans, we've went so far behind science and technology, and we're still going full speed. But the difficulty of predicting the molecular behavior of complex systems, we are still in. So how marvelously it will be to understand the basic unit of life. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Do we have questions from our jury? Yes, Ms. Luga.
Thank you for this. I'm asking myself, where can you use this membrane? Because we have the pollution everywhere, in the oceans, in our lakes, anywhere, and you can't pressure a whole lake through a system.
So yeah, the idea of the membrane is in treatment plants, conventional treatment technologies cannot target those hormones or micropollutants in general. So we need advanced technology. One of them is to use this membrane. So this membrane could target micropollutants. And in lakes where conventional treatment plants are putting water out, studies showed that there is feminization of male fish. So the male fish becomes a female. So it affects our endocrine disrupting chemical. And we need to target this problem through this. So it's an advanced technology. Could be used in treatment plants.
Professor Hirth, you also had a question.
Yes. What is the limit with respect to the particle size and the composition of the micropollutants?
Yeah, so this particle, in theory, it is smaller than the micropollutant. So let's say this particle has a pore size, it has an opening of 0.4 nanometer. And the hormone approximately has a 0.8, but still, somehow the hormone makes its way through the membrane, and we don't know why. So based on size difference, in theory, we should get 100 removal of this hormone, but somehow it makes its way inside. And in this project, we studied how much energy is needed, so we wanted to know where in the separation process the hormones need maximum energy.
Yes, again you.
But normally you have a cocktail of different micropollutants inside the wastewater. How you deal with this?
Exactly, so this study was on micropollutants that they represent a wide range in their chemical characteristics. So we started, this is experimental, it's not simulation. So one step at a time, we complex our water. So water was here, lab water, and we worked with micropollutants only as a steroid hormone with pure water.
And time is over.
Thank
you
you
very much. Big applause.
Thank you.
So, we are coming to Labster number 7, and this means it's our last Labster before a short break. And I'm very happy to welcome her on stage. She's from Karlsruher Institute of Technology. She's talking about breaking the wall of groundwater purification, and her name is Anastasia August. Please welcome her with a big applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, my project also deals with the purification of water. Groundwater is sometimes polluted with bad substances like industrial oil, chemical waste, or hormonal products of our body. Many of these substances can be removed by pumping water through a filter. The filter material pulls the contaminants out of the water. The filter material always has an open porous structure. Porous structures are characterized by a very large inner surface area which establishes a great contact to anything that may flow through it. This contact area is important because water can only release dirt to this contact area. To understand this, imagine a brush full of paint being wielded across a paper. It does release paint to the paper, but only when it touches this paper. It works with any color, by the way. I have checked it out for you. The dirty water is like a paintbrush. It releases dirt to a surface as it rubs. The more surface it can touch along the way, the more dirt it can lose. So you see, the surface of our filter material is very important. the size of the surface, but also the nature. The nature of the surface plays a great role. You can imagine that a paintbrush releases paint more quickly to a rough wood chip wallpaper than onto a highly polished, slippery, or even oily surface. We are looking for a method to improve the quality of the surface of our filter. And our idea is to coat the surface with material which is also porous itself. This is because finely porous materials have a strong suction effect. You do know it. Think of a dish sponge. A dish sponge is finely porous. And if you put it into a little puddle on the table, then it sucks up everything at the same moment. So then if our structure is coated with such a kind of sponge, which is good for absorbing the dirt from the water, then it works faster and better. You see, we are looking for an appropriate coating, an appropriate porous coating, for our appropriate filter material, porous material. You see, porous structure, porous coating, we have a name for it. We call it, pay attention, double porosity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anastasia. Do we have questions? What about our jury? I have, yes.
What's about the lifetime of the filter and how you clean the filter?
We change the filter. After any time, we have to study it. We have to study it in detail. What kind of filter and what kind of coating needs how many time to work efficiently. After that, we have to exchange it. And we don't know if we can clean it. It's the object of our study.
Yes, Professor Böhm?
Yeah, another question which relates to the first question of Ms. Luger. For which surfaces do you can use it? For a lake, maybe not, but for water tap bath system?
For cleaning the groundwater, by means of porous structures. It can be open porous foams, solid foams, or it can be also granulates, for example, spheres. We are looking for a good filter material. It's also the subject of our study.
Any other questions? Yes, Professor Heiland.
Your idea reminded me a little bit about on fractals. I think you know fractals, these structures which
yes.
Which
you're right. Yeah.
Which duplicate in another dimension.
Yeah,
Can you also modify your idea and go one dimension further? Would that also be a possibility?
I hope so. I hope so. There are materials which are very, very finely porous. For example, the membranes. The membranes are such kind of materials. They are very fine porous in nanometer range, and it's probably the next step. You are right.
Any other questions? We have 8 seconds left, so a quick one. Doesn't look like 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anastasia. So, it's so warm, so hot here, so I think we should have a little refreshment break. So let's take a 10-minute break. You can get something to drink if you want over there at the cafe. Just take your time, relax, and we will meet again in 10 minutes at this stage. See you soon. So I am the stressy person today. I'm so sorry for that. But that's part of my job. But I would like to ask you to slowly go back to your seats. So, yeah, that's always very good when you have musicians around, because that wasn't the plan that he plays within a short break, but he was just willing to do so. So that was amazing. We will hear him later on, and then I will also introduce him in more detail to you. So, we are perfectly in our timeline. Just as expected, I'm just waiting for our jury because we, of course, need their attention. Otherwise, that won't work. Thank you very much. So we will directly move on with the next 6 participants, the next 6 labsters. And the first one, he comes from, not from science, but he comes from business, from Maurer and Myers GbR. His name is Frederick Myers, and he's talking about breaking the wall of clinical documentation overload. Good luck.
Hello, everyone. My name is Frederick, and together with the University Clinic Heidelberg and the National Center for Tumor Disease, we want to tear down the wall of clinical information overloads with the help of artificial intelligence. Cancer is an ever-rising challenge. The World Health Organization predicts that by the year 2040, we will have 28.4 million cancer patients. That is about the whole population of Uganda. What we want to do is help the surgeon, to give him an assistant, and we essentially have to tear down 3 pillars for the surgeon so that he can do his life-changing work on patients. One challenge that surgeons face every day is this: clinical information overloads or medical findings. And what we want to do is we want to help the surgeon break those down, because he has to go through up to 70 pages of medical findings per day. Now, this is also a problem and a challenge for AI, because an AI cannot work with unstructured and unlabeled data. On top of that, we see an ever-increasing amount and complexity in cancer therapy. This is due to the evolvement of course, new cancer therapies, new diagnostic procedures, and in generally, of course, new therapies for patients. Now, this is really great for the patient, but still, the surgeon has to cut through all this complexity. And finally, we have one big stopper, which is documentation workload. Surgeons have only 5 minutes with the patient, but this can lead up to 20 minutes of documentation workload, already straining their very thin time resources. What we wanted to do is sit down with experts and surgeons and find a way to create a cooperative medical AI that helps them. And from that, we created the vision Aliedo. Aliedo essentially helps the surgeon by, first and all, giving back structure. It does this by scanning through medical findings and searching for specific parameters, which we then can use to basically analyze. And all the surgeon has to do is say if it's right, say if it's wrong. He saves time, while on the other hand side, Aliedo can continuously learn. We then use this structure to give the surgeon clarity. We use exactly this data and present the surgeon a clear overview of the patient with the most immersive and the most detailed things that he needs to find the right treatment. And last but not least, we want to help the surgeon by giving him back time where it's needed most with the patient. We do that by automating parts of the documentation process with the data that we collected through giving him structure. That's Aliedo, a cooperative medical AI and a vision for surgeons. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What about our jury? Do you have any question? Yes, Ms. Lugar.
Thank you. That sounds very interesting to me. Did you also think about to combine this with a translating system for the patient? So when you have a good structure and wordings, then it might be more easy to do also the translation for the patients, because that's a real hot topic, I guess, in the communication between these both groups.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, one part that I didn't present today is we did also develop a platform for patients. And one thing which was interesting during our research is we found out that patients are very different to surgeons. What surgeons need is information. What patients need is emotional support. And I think that's one big part, is giving him clarity in what is actually happening. So there are actually some aspects which we looked into deeper, how we could support patients at the same side. Yes.
Yes, Professor Boom.
Yeah, I have many questions. So how do you assure all these data? You scan the documents, you said. How do you assure it against hackers? How do you assure the quality of the data? And how do you ensure data protection issues?
So basically what we do, especially in our research project, this is already happening today. We anonymisieren, we anonymize the information that we get from patients. And those are usually in clinical structures. So when we implement this kind of system, we're looking not for a cloud-based solution, so more or less a clinically integrated solution. So this will stay within a clinical network. Now this is actually a bigger challenge that we have, which I would like to go into detail how we do it technically, but that's essentially how we want to do it, is to keep it in clinics and
I was expecting your question, Professor Heiland.
How do you make sure that nothing will be missed? Because sometimes a doctor, after some treatment, has to retrieve again information from like 1 year ago. There could be some change also. How do you make sure that that isn't thrown away?
Okay, quick answer.
We go through the history, and basically there is a history. So the surgeon can always click on those tags and find
so
it.
you go through the history. That's basically it. I'm sorry. Thank you very
problem.
much. Big
Thank you.
applause. So we directly move on. And now we also have a candidate from Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. His name is Min Nguyen, and he will talk about breaking the wall of novel membranes. Good luck.
Hello, everyone. So I bring again the problem of micropollutants. So what are micropollutants? They are small compounds that are very harmful for the environment and very, very hard to remove. So at some point, you'll be wondering if this glass of water is truly safe or not. And micropollutants can be many different kind of things. It can have some drugs that can turn male fish into female. And then it can have some chemical warfare, some warfare chemicals, or some pesticides and nasty stuff. So what we want to do is we want to use a membrane to remove this. And in the membrane technology, we always try to have membranes that mimic the nature, such as the cell membrane, as you can see here. However, what they're trying to do is we are trying to make the membranes that withstand a lot of pressure. So what is the kind of pressure we need for micropollutant removal? Answer: 10 elephants standing on one elephant's leg. That's the amount of pressure we need. However, the natural membrane cannot withstand so many elephants. So what they do is they have some components inside the membrane that gives you removal, because there are some, these components can give some removal function. So we really want to bridge the gap between the two membranes, so we don't need so many elephants, and therefore we have some membranes that are stable, that are functional and energy efficient. So how can we do that? We have some carbon particles coupled with the membrane in this sense, because the carbon particles, the micropollutant really like to stick with this. And with this approach, we have some really amazing results, as you can see here. The bar on the left show the performance of a commercial membrane. Not very good with micropollutant removal, but when we have the particles, the two other bars, you see the removal is very high, up to 93%. However, now pay attention to the horizontal line on top. That is the amount of removal we need to make this glass of water safe. And we could not achieve it. Actually, we still have like 6 or 7% over there. And this gap is really, really hard to bridge, because we really need to improve a lot on the membrane design, on the particle design, and the system design. And it's going to be very exciting just to make this 7% disappear, to bridge the 7% gap. And that's very exciting for our research. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Time for questions. Dear jury, do you have any questions? Or is everything clear to you? Professor Hirth.
How you fix the particles on the surface of the membrane?
We have different approaches. So one of the less elegant way is to put another membrane underneath that acts as a separation barrier. Alternatively, we can use some polymer materials, such as the polydopamine. It's very technical stuff, but it's like glue. So we are gluing the bottom of the membrane to keep the particles, the nanoparticles in place. Thank you.
Any other questions? Maybe from the audience, you are, as you remember, you're also invited to ask questions, or if you have a statement. Professor Hirth?
What's about the recovery rate for these particles?
The recovery rate, you mean if they are leaking from the membrane? We don't see a lot of leakage of the particle from the membrane, and we can achieve a good function for a long time, maybe in terms of hours, a few hours. Is that what you mean, or?
It's about the recovery rate, how you can separate the particles from the membrane surface.
The particle is not on the membrane surface, but inside the membrane, so they are stuck into like one single entity together. Is that?
We have another question from Dr. Holze.
Yeah.
You're using carbon materials. Which type of carbon do you use? Activated carbon or special structures?
We have tried different kinds, and we are using nanoparticles, mainly this carbon nanotubes, the graphene. Sometimes we try with fluorine. And we also have some activated carbons with a specific type. And the nanoparticles actually perform a lot better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So 1-0. That's it. Thank you very much, Lynn. Big applause. So we move on with number 10, Nima Rashwan from Karlsruher Institute of Technology. We'll talk about breaking the wall of plastic bottles production. Good luck.
Thank you. So, breaking the wall of plastic bottle production. My name is Nima Rashwan, and I would like to talk about this topic. So, the overproduction of plastic bottles is really harmful to the environment, and I would say it's against the sustainable development. Already we know that it has caused a lot of problems in the environment. Yearly, over 100 billion pounds of plastics, especially polyester, is produced, and which 30% of that goes to the packaging industry in different fields. But unfortunately, not all used plastics are going back to the recycling system, even if there is a recycling system at all. Lots of countries do not have this recycling system, and some of them does not work properly. And lack of education, culture, these are all barriers that we know that's already we see the results in our world, the pollution in the ocean. And the other side is that when the production of plastics, the problem is that this plastic that are coming back from the recycling industry, in fact, is costier. It has more cost than the virgin material. That's the reason lots of companies do not buy these recycling, because when the oil price is low, they prefer to buy the less expensive one. What is the solution? During these 2.5 years that I'm living actually in Germany, I'm in love with the minimalistic culture of German people that use or consume at the certain level that you need. It's a kind of like against the capitalistic culture that use whatever you want, the resources, but the result we already know that's what happened. So how are we going to tackle this problem? I'm proposing a kind of system, a kind of mobile vending machines, which at the first phase can be dedicated to only chemicals and detergents. In fact, with the online booking system, with the monitoring possibility, everyone can get the products right around the corner or at the doorstep even, if there's a possibility. So, I'm done. If you have any question, I would be eager to answer you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nima. Do we have questions? Yes, Professor Böhm.
Yes, thank you. I know that JM is already using this system in certain of its markets. So why does it have to be mobile?
Basically, you know that as a human, it's not easy to take your bottles every time to refill that. So the system, I would say it as an Uber, but Uber that actually deliver the products at your doorstep. But it needs a very smart algorithm to detect time schedule and then find the best. And when you do the online, you know that which product you are going to be. It's not just like there is one specific product from one specific company and you have to use it. You select and you get the product delivered at your door. I think in this cycle, this broken cycle that we have already for 100 years, and we put the distribution to the supermarket, you go to the supermarket, get it to your home, use it, a lot of bottles remain, and you go to the not problematic cycle of recycling. This should be end, because we know over 100 years, the result is the pollution in the ocean. So I would say maybe.
We have nearly 1 minute left. Yes, can you please come to the microphone because we need it for the live stream. That's what I learned.
With the door-to-door delivery, isn't there a problem? Aren't you pushing one problem to another problem where now you're polluting the air instead of the water because you now, right, have all those delivery cars?
Yes, sure. This is a very good question. Like we have a lot of possibilities now to use different type of transportation. We can use electric vehicles or kind of like fuel cell hydrogen transportation. So we can think about the eco-friendly way of transporting the products.
Any other questions left? 10 seconds. 7, 6. Yes.
Why should companies work with you?
One word? Okay, that's it. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Big applause. Great job. Thank you. We directly go on with Christian Scharun from Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. He's talking about breaking the wall of greenhouse gas emissions. Big topic. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christian Scharun, and I'm scientist at the Institute of Metrology and Climate Research here at KIT. Greenhouse gases, the global warming, climate change. These are big topics of our time. Over 90% of greenhouse gas emissions are from anthropogenic sources, like this factory for fossil fuel production. Every country is obligated to report its annual amount of greenhouse gas emissions to the United Nations. Important political decisions are made on the basis of these data. But the problem is that these are just estimations. Every country uses different methods, and together with high bureaucratic hurdles, that will lead to inconsistent data. Some countries even use these inconsistencies to prettify their statistics. For these reasons, it is very important that we close the gap between estimated and the real emissions. I developed a completely new method to quantify greenhouse gas emissions. It consists of 3 main parts. The first one is satellite measurement data. While surrounding our Earth, satellites scan our atmosphere and determine the amount of greenhouse gases in it. The second part are information about locations of factories, megacities, and other emission hotspots. With a complex algorithm, I can assign the satellite measurement data on the locations of these hotspots. Last but not least, we develop and use a computer model to get a better understanding of how greenhouse gases are distributed on the globe. The result is a high-resolution data set of greenhouse gas emissions, as you can see it on the lower part of the slide. This method makes it possible that the national reports of the countries can be controlled by independent international organizations in the future. This work will help us to solve one of the most important problems of our time, and my generation in particular. And together, we can break down the wall of greenhouse gas emissions. Thank you very much. I'm curious to hear your questions.
Yes, same for me. Professor Hirth, you already have the microphone.
Okay. Is there a difference between the different types of greenhouse gases like CO2, methane, or nitrous oxides with your method? Do you see any differences?
First of all, we can measure and we can process all types of greenhouse gases, which is very important. And we see differences because some of them can be measured over water, and some of them cannot be measured over water. This is just a question of the measuring geometry of the satellites.
Okay.
But mainly, the most of the emissions come from land surface. Yeah.
Professor Heiland?
I guess there is a limit to the spatial resolution of your method. So if you're now trying to control the different countries, does it matter how large a country is, how accurate you can estimate what the emissions are?
That doesn't matter how large a country is, because we have a very, very fine spatial resolution. And some of our colleagues also detected like waste fills in Madrid and resoluted that, which is an amazing resolution, and yeah, answers the question. Thanks.
Yes, Dr. Holze?
What is the time resolution of your data?
The time resolution is exactly the one orbit of satellites, and yeah, therefore we have like 90 minutes time resolution.
Any other questions? Yes.
I think the idea is great, but I'm not so sure whether different countries really like to be controlled. So you have to be very accurate with your data. How high can you say us is your accuracy, so that the data are really valid? Oh, sorry.
Very high.
That's what we wanted to hear. A big applause.
Thank you.
Very high. That was good. So we are going on with Pranav Mygoga from India, and I just talked to him about the correct pronunciation about his name, and I'm using the German version. He's coming from Fraunhofer Institute for Chemical Technology, and he is talking about breaking the wall of recycling bioplastics. Good luck.
Good evening, everyone. So let us today try to understand a little bit about bioplastics and then how to recycle them. Bioplastics are sustainable alternatives to traditional petrochemical plastics and are often obtained from renewable biological feedstock. Today we are going to talk about one of the most promising members of this family, which is called polylactic acid, also abbreviated as PLA. And currently it is used in a wide variety of applications ranging from disposable cutlery to flexible packaging. However, though PLA is viewed as a panacea to plastic pollution, it has got its own inherent disadvantages. The first disadvantage of PLA is that its production process is highly raw material and energy intensive. And the fun fact is, most of the raw materials that are used in the production of PLA actually are a direct competition to food. The next disadvantage of PLA stems from misconceptions surrounding its biodegradability, because of which consumers like you and me tend to use it as a single-use plastic, thereby leading to its wanton littering. The last disadvantage is actually ironic in its own sense, because PLA currently accounts for only 1% of the total plastics produced worldwide, but it has a tremendous potential to disturb even the most mature conventional waste streams. For example, even 0.1% of PLA contamination in PET waste streams can render them inefficient for recycling. So what is the solution? The solution is to recycle PLA for a circular economy. And as a part of my research at Fraunhofer ICT, I have devised a sustainable, holistic, yet industrially feasible recycling strategy to upcycle different post-consumer PLA substrates into a value-added bio-based solvent. Now, this bio-based solvent can replace almost 80% of the traditional solvents in most of their applications and has a market potential of up to $92 million by 2024. It is an EPA-approved SNAP solvent and is widely used by the chemical and the allied industry. For example, this solvent goes into perfumes and is also a very important member of the food industry. Now, what are the salient features of my process? We have mild operating conditions, almost 100 degrees Celsius less than the commercial processes. We have eco-friendly process reagents, and the most important is we can degrade different types of PLA even from a mixed waste stream. So the third disadvantage of PLA contaminating other waste streams is almost sorted. application of this recycling technology is going to reduce poverty because it's going to create a new recycling sector, therefore creating new direct and indirect jobs. Is going to go for zero hunger because it will ensure that the biological feedstock is available for human consumption. Will ensure sustainable development because we are promoting responsible use of PLA waste even after its end of life. And the most important part is it will protect the climate and secure the life in water and on land. Thank you.
Time is over. Time for questions. Dear jury, Professor Hirth is taking up his microphone.
Yes. What happens with all the additives you are using during the polymer processing of the pure polylactic acid?
No, I have also tried different post-consumer PLA grades, and we are using a solvent-assisted depolymerization strategy. So this solvent usually keeps most of the additives, and then we recover the product using distillation. So the solvent stays with the additives stay with the solvent, and they can be filtered off and then sent to an incineration unit. Just like we dispose of normal municipal waste. But instead of wasting polyhydroxy acid, which is used food, we only send the additives to incineration, and the polyhydroxy acid is recycled.
Dr. Holzer.
How will you collect the used PLA?
Usually, PLA is a very specialty stream, and since my strategy is a one-pot depolymerization strategy, even if it is present in the PET waste stream, we can selectively only depolymerize the PLA fraction. If it is present in the composting waste stream, we can simply take it after the composting is done and recover the PLA. Yeah.
Professor Hirth?
What's about the cost? Because you need a separate collecting system or separation system for the PLA bottles or the PLA?
I don't think we need a separate collection system, and we also performed the LC of this strategy. The publication is available online, and it has performed really good from a life cycle assessment point of view, including the separate collection of different PLA waste streams. Yep.
And is it possible to take the waste of the normal recycling system and recycle it again?
Yes, we can do that as well. So we can take the waste directly from, let's say we have a PET recycler who has got some PLA contamination and he's not ready to recycle the PET waste stream. So we take that PET waste stream, we recycle the PLA selectively from the PET stream, give the PET stream back to the PET recycler, and convert PLA into this solvent which we can use for the industry. Yep.
So the last 5 seconds, I think that was basically it. So big applause.
Yeah,
thank you
so
for
much.
being here. And we are coming to our last labster for today. It's Jonas Krimmer. He's coming from Karlsruher Institute of Technology. He has a very big topic, breaking the wall of inequality of internet access. Good luck.
Hi, my name is Jonas Krimmer. And today I will show you how we can break the wall of inequality of internet access. The pandemic has confronted us with a new task. We have to stay connected while maintaining physical distance. The internet has shown to be the key driver of this transition to the virtual world, providing a highly accessible platform for get-togethers, working remotely, and education. Since in Europe or in the United States, most people live in cities and have access to the internet, the situation is vastly different in many places with less developed infrastructure. For example, in many African countries where most people live in rural areas without reliable power grid, let alone fiber infrastructure. So how can we connect these people's homes to the sparsely deployed fiber and finally connect them to the internet? Since radio frequency links do not provide enough bandwidth to connect many people to the internet, I propose to use free-space optical communication links. Commercially available systems can already achieve data rates of 10 gigabit per second. And these systems only make use of the color and the power of light to transmit information. But there remain 3 additional degrees of freedom to scale the data rates further, beyond 100 gigabit per second, and to keep up with the ever-increasing data traffic over the internet. This drives my research. There remain the amplitude, phase, and polarization, not only the power which can carry information. and light adopts different patterns propagating over the atmospheric channel, which serve as independent communication channels. But the atmospheric channel is not free of impairments. Besides weather effects, such as fog or rain, atmospheric turbulence has a strong impact on the light traveling over the channel. My research deals with understanding these distortions and their influence on data transmission, utilizing every of these degrees of freedom available. By enhancing our understanding of the atmospheric channel, we can deploy highly scalable and hence sustainable free-space optical communication links and finally break the wall of inequality of internet access. Thank you, and I'm open for your questions.
That was a quick one. So we are ready for questions. Dear jury, do you have any questions? Yes, Professor Hyland.
Is it possible that these channels that you were mentioning also stabilize your signal with regard to like weather phenomena, fog and so on?
In principle, you can also use these different spatial channels in the sense of an additional stabilization factor. Yes, that's definitely possible, but we are for now mainly interested in scaling the data rates, and that's another option, of course. Yes, but very good question.
Dr. Holze?
Which infrastructure will I need? Can I just hook up a collector on my house, or can I use it with my cell phone?
So the current concept would be to have some sparsely fiber that is already deployed, and then we can set up some towers in a distance of 1 to 10 kilometers. That will also depend or have a large influence on the data rates achievable. And then there's the free space link between these terminals, and from these terminals we can have some kind of wireless radio frequency access that provides the bandwidth to each of the households separately. So there's only one link required, which provides super high amounts of bandwidth and shares this bandwidth across some region where many people live.
Any other questions? We have some time left. You were so quick. Yes, Professor Hirth.
What's about the costs?
It's hard to have a definite, a clear statement on the cost yet, because many of these things are still under development. So this highly depends on the integration that's possible, the amount of combining everything into a small chip.
Thank you very much. Highly depends is always a good answer in science. Thank you very much. Big applause.
Thank you.
So now we have seen 13 different presentations from 13 different labsters. I have learned a lot about chemistry, pollution, AI application, digital consumption, and things like that. Our jury now needs some time to discuss what they have seen and to evaluate and to choose the 3 winners. And you, as the jury for the Audience Award, are also invited now to decide which was your favorite presentation, which was the most promising idea, which was the best presentation. So please take the ballot paper, which is in your booklet, and you find here some pens, some used and unused, of course, because of Corona, and you can put your paper in there. Please do that within the next 15 minutes so that we have time to look and count. So, it's getting serious. As you can see, I'm bringing several things and I need to hide them. So I just received the information that the jury has made its decision. Further, all your votes have been tallied. This means that we come to the thrilling part of finding out who will be our winners. I want to start with a quote. Albert Einstein, that of course all of you know, he once said, "The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination." In my opinion, this is really an interesting statement, and it feels so true for this evening. What we saw tonight, yes, of course, I mean, there's a lot of knowledge, because you've gained knowledge through your studies and through your working experience. but there's so much more that we were able to see. We saw so much visionary and creative thinking, imagination, and above all, the sparkle in your eyes when you told us about your idea. So thanks for sharing that with us, and thanks for inspiring us. Well, basically, I am very, very happy that I do not have to make any decision today, because it would be super hard for me. And yeah, I'm happy that we have somebody else for doing this. So Professor Hirth, please come to me. Yeah, the jury, I think they had a hard discussion. They have evaluated all the presentations based on the breakout factors, so how innovative was the idea, the impact, how relevant is the idea for the discipline and beyond, and the presentation itself. As I told you before, we have 3 winners to announce by the jury and 1 winner chosen by the audience, by you. All Labsters, so all of you will receive a certificate. The 3rd place winner, the 2nd place winner, and the audience award winner, they will receive a voucher for the cafe over there. The 1st place winner, as I mentioned before, will get a trip, so travel and accommodation included, to Berlin in November 2021. There he or she will have the opportunity and is automatically admitted to the Global Falling Walls Lab Finals 2021 in Berlin. So, it's getting serious. Professor Hirth, I would say, and let's do it like this, so Professor Hirth will tell us who is the winner, and then please come up to the stage, and then you will receive your prizes.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank all the Labsters for participation this evening and for your very interesting and very nice presentation. It was very inspiring for us, and thanks very much for sharing your ideas with us. That was very impressive. I learned a lot, and also my colleagues from the jury. Many thanks to my colleagues from the jury, which came from different places in Germany, and we have really worked very hard during the last half an hour. And many thanks to our very charming moderator, and a big applause for all.
Thank you.
So, and now, it's very interesting to see what is written on my piece of paper. So, first of all, we start with the 3rd place. And that was the contribution, Breaking the Wall of 1,000 Taps, Greta Luise Hoffmann.
Congratulations!
Wie machen wir das mit dem Abstand?
Ja.
Das ist ein bisschen schwierig. Legen Sie es hier hin, Sie soll es sich einfach mitnehmen.
We need to take care of
So,
it because of Corona, so
we
please.
cannot shake hands.
Yes.
Please take.
But we hug you, of course. Congratulations.
Okay, congratulations.
Another for
sorry,
Greta.
can you come back? We have to take a photo.
Yes.
Okay. Why shouldn't stand in the middle? We change. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
If the jury boss says so, I will do.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So, then we came to the 2nd place, which refers to breaking the wall of clinical documentation overload.
Woohoo!
Frederick Myers.
So this is for you.
So,
congratulations. Also the picture.
yes. Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay.
Good work.
So, and the winner of the gold medal,
Woohoo!
breaking the wall of greenhouse gases, Christian Schaun.
So, Congratulations. That means you are going to Berlin. You have some spare time in November.
Congratulations. Yeah.
You will. We
So-
will cross our fingers for your presentation there.
Yeah, please stay here for the photo. Okay. So. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor. Do you also know about the audience awards?
Yes.
Yes.
I know it.
That's exciting. So we also have an audience award. So
You would
all
like
of
to
our-
know it?
I would love to.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you can share it with us. I don't know.
So, we were very surprised by the decision of all of you.
Yes.
And after this decision, we are sure that we have appointed the right person for the first place. So, the audience award goes to Christian Scharon.
Congratulations.
So again,
This is your voucher. Congratulations. You will receive a
Okay.
certificate as well. Yes.
so for me that's not surprising because greenhouse gas emissions and the global warming is one of the great challenges of the 21st century, and we have to deal with this. And for me it's perfect to see what all the young guys which are here today are addressing. Pardon? Girls, yes, sorry. Address all these very impressive topics like the climate change and as well as energy transition, recycling, and so on. That was very nice to see. So many thanks to all your contributions. And I'm very happy to see so much young people here, sitting here which are dealing with the most important issues which are relevant for science, industry, and society. So thank you very much again. And thank you very much to all the people who came here today for the first time here at the Kronplatz in Karlsruhe. I think it's a very nice place here to stay here. And so I wish you all the best for the future. Many thanks for coming, and please stay healthy. Bye.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I would like to also thank you, Christian. Again, congratulations. Really, really good job. Thank you for giving the prizes and for your kind words. Thank you
Thank you
very
very much. It was a pleasure for me
It
to be
was.
your assistant.
Yes, we should
Okay.
do that next time we meet here again. So, congratulations to all the winners, but also to all the participants. You were so brave. You had so great ideas. Thank you very much for sharing them with us. You can really be proud of yourself. I would like to use the opportunity now to thank several people. First of all, our jury. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your idea. Thank you very much. I would like to thank the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, Heidelberg University, and HICA, the Heidelberg-Karlsruhe Strategic Partnership, for hosting this Falling Walls Lab. I would like to thank the event team for organizing everything and making it possible for us to meet here in person. They put a lot of effort into this. Thank you very much. Thanks to Effekte Wissenschaftsfestival for having us, and thanks to the stage crew, which is up there, and for the security personnel for taking care of us. Thank you very much. And thanks to you for being here. It was really a great evening. It was a great time with you. It was the perfect mix, great people, inspiring ideas, perfect weather, good music. So I hope you enjoyed it as well, and have a safe trip back home and a good night. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.